Aloha friends! So this video is going to be about washing and shampoos. We'll start with the basics, just covering washing, why it's important, that it is important, and move on to shampoos. I'll cover some basic shampoos, mostly just the ones that are really popular out there, and kind of explain what's going on with wanting a residue-free shampoo and why that's important. So let's start with the basics of washing. Dreadlocks. Very important to wash your hair. One of the myths perpetuated out in the public eye is that dreadlocks are dirty. People with that hairstyle don't wash their hair. That's simply not true. If you're taking care of your dreadlocks, you should be washing them, and it's very important. There are people out there who don't wash their hair and have dreadlocks, and unfortunately it seems that that's the archetype that people have latched onto, as that's the hairstyle and that's the type of person that has that hairstyle. And that's not the truth. So let's start with why is it important. There's several reasons it's important. Let's begin with the fact that having clean hair is going to help your hair knot and lock faster and more efficiently. It makes sense if you stop to think about it that dirty, oily hair is going to be more slippery. It's not going to want to tangle. If you've ever washed your hair before dreadlocks with just a shampoo, a lot of people think that conditioner is absolutely necessary, because if you don't condition your hair and have it just squeaky clean, it wants to knot up right away. It's already trying to create locks. So keeping it clean and making sure that it has the ability to lock up is only going to make your hair lock up faster in the beginning and continue to lock up once they're mature. The new growth will need to be clean to continue to do that. Another reason is with dreadlocks, you're going to have this tangled matrix of hair, and it's going to want to pull anything in the surrounding environment into it. It's going to snare up lint, it's going to grab dirt, it's going to grab odors, it's going to hold on to that stuff way more efficiently than normal hair. So keeping it washed is very important to keep that type of stuff out of there and to make sure that your hair is clean. So also in relation to this brings a very important point. It's basically the most important point in talking about shampoos, is that because of the nature of the dreadlock wanting to hold on to things, this tight matrix like spongy net of hair that can hold things inside of it, you want to use a residue-free shampoo. If you're not, you're going to run the high risk that inside of your dreadlock you're going to start to build up this gooey mess of all these residues collected from the shampoos that are contributing to this like tar buildup inside of the dreadlock that's not apparent from the outside, but on the inside you have this type of buildup. It's going to amount to something that is very hard to get rid of, and that's going to contribute to all types of other problems, namely the development of mold or bad smells, because the inside of the dreadlock, if it has this buildup, isn't going to be able to dry properly, and residue-free shampoo is going to prevent this from happening. So that is the most important thing to know about shampoos. So moving on, when we talk about shampoos here in a minute, we're going to be talking about using only residue-free shampoos, or which ones are out there, and which ones do most people use, which ones can you experiment with, and ultimately you have to find the one that works best for you. Everyone's hair type is different. Everyone's water table is going to be different, the way they take their showers, the temperatures. So it's a trial and error type thing, but there's a lot of stuff out there. So we'll talk about that, and you'll be able to find one that works for you. Before we move on to shampoos, I just want to briefly talk about deep cleaning, or a deep cleanse. I'll put a link below to LAZYDREADS channel. He has a brilliant video about his deep cleaning method. I personally use it myself, and it works fantastic. These deep cleaning methods are used once every month, once every couple months. I personally do it once every 2-3 months, and this is going to just make sure that there's no buildup in your hair. This is also something that you can do if you have odors that get stuck in your hair. Like I said, dreadlocks do like to grab and hold on to anything around them much more than normal hair, especially odors. And what I mean by that, a good example is campfires, for instance. Let's say you're out camping for a few days, you come home and you notice, man, my hair really smells like smoke, and I just washed it and it's still not getting rid of the smell. This type of behavior is typical with dreadlocks, and these deep cleaning methods are a way to combat problems like this, and also, just like I said, to keep residue buildup in check as well. So it's a good thing to add to your repertoire, something to do at least once every 3-4 months. So check out the link. It's very thorough. I recommend doing this. It's great for your hair. It feels great. You can definitely feel that it works fantastic. And lastly, before we move on to the shampoos, I just want to cover the importance of drying. So with dreadlocks, again, we're going to refer to this sort of tight binded matrix sponge structure that eventual mature dreadlock will form. It's going to hold on to everything, like I said, but also moisture. So when you get your hair wet, when your dreadlocks are mature, they're going to be very hard to dry. It's going to take quite a bit of effort to get them dry. You're going to have to use a hairdryer for much more longer, or you're going to have to be in the sun. You're going to notice that the longer and thicker they get, the longer they take to dry. Moisture that stays inside of those dreads for too long is going to contribute to bacterial growth or mold and just the sort of wet dog, wet laundry smell. So you want to make sure that when your hair gets wet, it does dry fairly quickly. So let's just recap those for some basic points. You do want to wash, and you want to wash often. You know, you can wash anywhere from once every other day to once every couple days. I personally, right now, I'm washing once a week. You just need to make sure that your hair is clean. That's the basic point. Residue-free shampoos. When you're washing, you want to use a residue-free shampoo. You don't want buildup in your dreadlocks. Residue-free shampoo is the answer to that. Deep cleanse or deep clean. Keep that in mind. Again, see the link below to LAZYDREADS channel. He has a thorough explanation of the method that he uses. Highly effective. Keep that as part as your maintenance routine. It's very important, and I think it's a reliable method to ensure there's no residue buildup, and also to combat those instances like I mentioned where you might encounter odors or something that's the shampoo is not taken care of. This always works to get rid of that. Drying. Get the hair dry anytime that it gets wet and prevent that mold problem from happening to you. I personally have not encountered it. I'm in the infancy of my dreadlocks, so hopefully I never encounter that, but it is a problem. Some people end up having to cut their hair off because of it. I think there are steps that can be taken to remedy that situation, but you don't want to get yourself into that position. You don't want to have to deal with the mold, and you don't want this smell issues to arise. So when you get your hair wet, make sure it's thoroughly dry. It's very important with dreadlocks. Alright, so let's move on to the shampoos then. There's some popular products I'm going to cover. There's others out there. Again, as in all my previous videos, do your research. Go out there and look around. The most important thing is just that it's residue-free shampoo. There's a lot of people that are small businesses, or people on Etsy or similar social selling sites like that make their own shampoos that are more than well enough to use for you, and you might find something out there that it works better than these name brand ones that are popular. But I'm just going to cover these and, you know, try them and see what works for you. Alright, so I'll start with the most popular, bigger sort of corporate entities, and I'll work my way down to sort of the homemade shampoo, which is what I personally do, and I'll show you how I do that when we get there. We'll be starting off with Lush brand products. This entity is quite popular. They're all international company. They're more of a natural product soap line. They have bar soaps that are highly popular in the dread community. Several different kinds. All of them have essential oils. They claim no animal testing and this very natural methodology to their business philosophy. Worth trying. I personally tried out one of these bars, and it was way too fragrant for me. I personally just felt it had way too much of a perfume to it, and the one that I used also had these little chunks of rosemary in it, which would come out and get stuck in your hair. So that was annoying for me, and I moved on to a different brand. But I haven't written these guys off. They make great products, and there's a couple other bars that eventually I think I might try. Right now I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing, so I'm just not looking to try anything different, but when I am ready, these guys are definitely on my short list of going back and trying another one of their bars. So check out their website, see if there's somewhere local to you if you don't want to pay shipping. They are all over the place, and they do have a good reputation in the dreadlock community. Okay, so next up is Dr. Bronner's. This is a pretty popular line of soaps that's everywhere. It's in department grocery stores, in drug stores. It's all over the place. They have all kinds of different incarnations of this soap, be it tea tree or citrus or hemp oil or coconut oil. So there's a lot out there, a lot to experiment with. They come in a bar soap, which I use the bar soap personally just for my body in the shower. But they also have a liquid soap, which is what I believe most people use for their dreadlocks. And the thing to keep in mind with Dr. Bronner's is that it seems like it either totally works for some people or totally does not work. And what I mean by that is some people claim that they just cannot get it to rinse out. It leaves their hair feeling silky or oily, like there is a residue left behind. I fell in that camp, and when I tried it, it did feel like I just couldn't get it out of my hair. What a lot of people do to combat this problem is they highly dilute this. They'll mix it, you know, like 50-to-1, a couple drops of the soap into a big jar of water, and they'll mix that up and use it. The debate out there is whether or not it has to do with you having hard or soft water or your water table in your local area, but it's a great soap. If it works and it feels like it's making your hair clean, it's affordable, it's reliable, it has a good reputation for people that can get it to come out of their hair. So it's worth a shot, and I would give it a try and see if it works for you. Okay, so those are the two that I think are the big name corporate guys that are out there that are everywhere. But moving on, we're going to move to the two dread product companies that are out there that are, you know, the two go-to ones, Dreadhead HQ and Naughty Boy. So starting out with Naughty Boy, I've used both their soaps. They make a bar soap and they make a liquid soap. The bar soap, I actually liked that, but found that in the end it was too hard to regulate how much soap I was using, and I felt like I was getting way too much soap in my hair. And the bar I liked because it was easy to move around. You can rub it right onto dreadlocks, and you can get it in your scalp and apply it directly anywhere that you want it to be, and you can do that so well that effectively that's in the end why I didn't like the soap, because I felt like I was putting too much of it on, and there's not a way to regulate to see actually how much you're using, because unlike liquid soap where you can see the actual volume of what you're contributing to your hand or the other vessel that you're maybe mixing it into other stuff with the bar soap you're just rubbing it on and you're really not sure how much you're getting in there. Now that might just be a personal concern for me, but I gravitated away from bar soaps for that reason, because I like to know exactly what volume I'm contributing to my hair. So the next one is Dreadhead HQ. I personally haven't used this product, but everybody's heard that name and it's out there, and some people use their soap effectively and are happy with it. They, I believe, only make this liquid soap. The only complaints I've heard about this particular soap are it's relatively expensive and goes very fairly quickly, and also that this soap holds pretty true to being completely residue free, in that there's absolutely no fragrance whatsoever. So you use this soap, and some people complain that they don't feel like their hair's clean because they don't have any fragrance to indicate that they've had that soapy clean feeling. So the argument out there is that if there is any fragrance left behind, obviously that's residual. There is some sort of residue in your hair that's providing that fragrance. So this soap has no fragrance whatsoever, holding completely true to the concept that you shouldn't have any smell in your hair if there's no residue. I personally haven't tried it, like I said, but it's out there, it's reputable, and it's on the list of things to try if you're looking to try something new. So give it a shot, see if it works for you. Okay, and lastly, before we move on to my homemade concoction, the last thing that you can use is baking soda, or as some people across the pond call it, bicarbonate of soda. This is just your typical Arm & Hammer baking soda. You know, it's found in other products like toothpaste as well, because it's a great cleaner. You can even use this stuff just for scrubbing. You scrub your bathtub with it or whatever. What it does is it breaks down greases, so it cleans your hair naturally, and it's very cost effective. You can use this just straight up in some water. It's part of the deep cleanse method that you'll find in LAZYDREADS link. That's what we use for the deep cleanse. But you can use it also to make your own just mixed up wash that you can put into another vessel with water and just spray it on your hair and wash it out. So lastly, there is a popular method of sort of making your own shampoo. This is the method that I use. I feel that in the end it's very cost effective. You can custom tailor your shampoo to have whatever fragrance you want. What you do is you use a base of waters and you find yourself a vessel. I bought this on Amazon. It's a plastic squirt bottle. I paid a little bit extra for this one because on the top there's a screw top. So when I fill this up, I can screw that down so it's sealed and I can shake it up without this squirting all over the place. There's a lot of the other sort of just like restaurant ketchup top bottles. Those would work just as well, and they're really affordable. You can even find a lot of them at drugstores or co-ops as well. But what I do is I mix baking soda. So I have just a regular old baking soda, and I'll put in probably like 3 tablespoons into here. But you can kind of just work to find what works for you. It's going to be obvious if you're using too much because it's not going to dilute and it won't mix in. And you just put a little bit of this in there and some essential oils. What I like to use is something like a lavender or a peppermint or rosemary. These have a little dispensing top so that you unscrew this. You can just tip this over and it will dispense only small drops. So that's really nice. You can sort of use that as a way to measure volume, whereas if you used 6 drops last time and it was way too fragrant, next time you can use 3 drops. In addition to that, what I do, so I have the baking soda, I'll add essential oils, and then I am still using the Naughty Boy liquid shampoo, and I'll just put maybe 1 quick squirt of shampoo in there. I guess I can do it just to show you quickly, but I really don't worry too much about the exact volume just because I know it's just a little bit, and maybe about that much in there, and then with the baking soda and essential oils. Now you can experiment with your own essential oils and use whatever you like. That's the beauty of this method, is that you can make your own fragrances. You can use your own oils to combat specific problems. For instance, rosemary. The reason I use that all the time is it's very good for your scalp. It helps combat dandruff. So you don't have to use that all the time. Let's say you just want something that has a nice fragrance. You could just add lavender, so it's cheaper and you're not adding so many oils. And then you can only use rosemary once in a while when you felt maybe there was something of an issue happening with your scalp. So this method is where I've landed. It's highly effective and highly affordable, and it's my preferred way in the end after experimenting and trying some of the other products. And that's it in a nutshell. I don't want the video to be too long. I just wanted to give a brief, all-encompassing once-over of the stuff that's popular out there. Why is it important to wash your hair? How do you deep clean it? And also the importance of drying it. So keep all that stuff in mind. Go out, explore, experiment, and ultimately find what works for you. That's the most important thing. So until next time, aloha guys. Take care.